It's easy to forget when traffic is annoying or other road users are rude that roads are what hold civilization together. They mean crossing bigger distances faster is easier. You can carry hundreds of kilograms in a cart because of them, so big level trade becomes possible between two communities miles away. Imagine what the world would be like if roads had never been invented. Vacation, shopping, days out, getting back from work would all take many times longer because the terrain is slower for wheels and shoes, and navigating would take that much more effort because remembering trees and rocks is harder than remembering corners and following signs. Rome rose and Vikings fell because of roads. Romans could transport thousands of soldiers thousands of miles lots faster than their enemies could because of their roads, so if they were attacked from one direction, they could call in reserves from across their republic. It was the first thing they built when they took over a new area because roads are essential to economy. The reason Vikings were defeated is because their enemies built towns further inland and connected them with roads, so when one was attacked, soldiers could come fast enough to fight Vikings. Imagine this. It's 7 years into C.D.M.D. You have a base, you can provide for yourself almost completely independently. It's practical to have children, your electricity supply is reliable, you have a mini factory, you have fought and won your share of wars, and it seems you have a long time of peace before the next likely one, but the nearest other base is 30 miles away. The furthest base you know is nearly 100 miles away. Compare these options. Fix roads between them so you can trade compost, each other's species of crop, different ammo or tech that you've learnt to manufacture, and even members. Or don't. And keep travel in your world slow and difficult. It's not only economy, it means if you're allies and you don't have a road, then a few hours to cycle could be the difference between saving them or being too late. Or worse, what if your allies don't, but your enemies and their allies do? Sooner or later, it's going to become a battle you can't win. So let's learn about the history of roads, the design of roads, and the maintenance of roads. The first roads wouldn't even be recognized. They were nothing more than the route people took often enough to make a trench through taller grass. Shorter grass is faster to run and walk on, so people kept using them. It was the Romans and the Persians who built the first big roads, longer than you can run in a day and good enough for chariots. They built their roads by digging a trench 4 to 5 feet deep, then in 1 foot layers at a time put in cement, then 1 foot of concrete, then gravel, then cement again, and on top they put on flagstones, which are flat stones cut in a special shape, good for the top of a road. Bonus info. They would have post relays every 10 miles, so messengers could run and pass on messages without pacing themselves slow over the whole way, and they had shelters every 25 miles in case someone got lost. Modern roads are lots more complex. They have pipes under them, sewers under them, cables under them. It takes 250,000 tons of rocks to make 1 mile of a motorway. They must be as perfectly smooth as possible and made of material tough enough not to wear until hundreds of thousands of cars have used it. For them, I can't help you, but I can help you make good enough lanes for bikes and trotting horses for your post-apocalyptic world. Take it or leave it. These are some pictures of a rural lane that I maintain. Some of them have grass in the middle between tire tracks, and I've never seen them bother anyone before. To show you how important lanes are, this is what happens to a field if big vehicles use it over and over. Let's prevent this. There are lots of types of damage that can happen to lanes. For example, normal holes, little holes, very big holes, thin trenches in the middle, wear at the sides from where big vehicles have been breaking bits off, and the edges shrinking shorter. This happens from wear with lots of vehicles using them, and rain. A flood can cause big damage, and especially frost. Sometimes a stream can appear on a lane, and when this happens, lots of damage happens fast. It's best to fix soon before damage gets bigger with time. What I did next was divert the stream over to someone else's side of lane where it's not my responsibility to fix. It's not naughty, because the stream came from their side in the first place, and they are welcome to divert it back, then we can both divert it until the stream is gone. This lane is made of a material called tarmac planings. The chemistry of what they are comes down to tar. For your note-taking convenience, I made lots of info written for you to pause at your need. Tar is what you get when you heat any of these 4 ingredients without oxygen. The gas released will condense into liquid tar. Tar plus stones equals tarmac. There are upgrades in this material, but in a C.D.M.D, it's very unlikely you'll get the opportunity to make them, and even if you could, it wouldn't be as efficient for you to get. Tarmac planings, or their other names, are nothing more than broken off bits of tarmac. Industries like to have a giant machine called a mill to collect tarmac planings. Mills have spinning tubes with lots of metal teeth on them and spin very fast. But in a C.D.M.D, you're stuck with pickaxes and hammer with chisel, which do the same physics, but without using oil. The chances are in a big C.D.M.D, you won't be needing to use all the roads you know about, so you have lots of natural supplies. I suggest harvesting from roads that you're very unlikely to ever use, are already broken in places anyway, and are close to the lanes you want to fix. Here are some photos of tarmac planings so you can recognize them. Now that we know the chemistry, we're ready to learn how to get to work. To fix a lane, you will need a wheelbarrow. Make sure it's a metal wheelbarrow, because you're going to be putting lots of rocks in there and digging in with a spade. This is what happens to plastic ones who do this job. And a spade. Make sure it's a spade, not a shovel, because you want to dig into the pile to get a big spadeful. A pitchfork can help if the pile is too hard, but I've only occasionally needed one, so don't worry if you forget one that day. Then, go to the pile and fill the wheelbarrow with little stones. Then, by mostly hand, put bigger stones on top. For very deep holes, you'll want another layer of even bigger stones. For little holes, you don't need any big stones. Then, go to hole and by mostly hand, throwing/dropping them is good enough. Put the big stones in. Then, empty the rest of the wheelbarrow on top. Then, walk all over it for flat. And this is what the end job looks like. You will notice it's a bit taller than the rest of the lane, but don't worry, that's good. And this is what happens when a few days becomes a week and a bit, then a few weeks. By then, a new hole shows up, so someone has to come back. A very big hole is going to need more than one wheelbarrow full, so come back later. And don't forget to maintain vehicle parks too, because some get as bad as this. Bonus tips to get an extra job done good are don't forget to fix the small ones, because otherwise they grow and you need to use more tarmac planings, and do an extra big effort immediately before winter, when wearing gets at its worst. If you do a very good job, you will end up with a lane good for bikes and horses. I wouldn't have a professional horse race on a lane like this, but there's a lot of perfectly good enough lanes I wouldn't have a professional horse race on. So now you've heard the information you need to provide and sustain roads when no one will do it for you. Will it be because the government can no longer continue fixing them? Or because so many people have died that all public systems have fallen? Whatever the cause, you can prepare. I will see you in the apocalypse. Next video, how to survive airborne plague. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this or found it helpful, then click like and comment so I know to make more of this. If you know a prepper who hasn't thought of this yet, show them this video. Maybe they'll be your allies one day. Unless you practice this, you'll probably forget because of all the other facts you're learning, so it's a good idea to watch this again for revision. If you want to see more, click my channel name or icon for more. I will see you next time. And subscribe to survive.